Thank you very much. So, dear students, let us we will proceed today's discussion on our institutional management. I am sharing you a PPT. I hope it will be visible to you all. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. So let us we will talk about today that is on your institutional management paper there is a management of infrastructure, or we may say management of infrastructural resources, right? So you know that a institution or a college or a university cannot move without proper infrastructural facilities. So to proceed to move to handle the institution for smooth functioning of an institution, it is there is a very much need of infrastructural resources. And as we all the teachers of this institution, so it's our primary duty to manage those resources. Fine. So we'll talk about the resources for financing higher education. Okay. So you know that for infrastructural resources, we must have the idea about whatever the resources are there in government or private or other ways, getting some facilities, or in which way financing is done. Fine. So one second. Oh, okay. Fine. So you know that the educational institutions are non-profit making bodies. ତମେ କେବେ ଭାବିଛ ଯେ ଆମେ କଲେଜରେ ବା ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟିରେ ପାଠ ପଢୁଛୁ ମାନେ ସେଇଟା ଆମର non-profit body. There is no government never wants for any kind of beneficial from the students or any clients, right? So never they do not sell their services to their clients, that is, you may say students, because it implies that funds for the management of educational institutions, educational system have to be raised from various sources, then the students. And we can talk about the educational services is the ultimate benefit of society. So higher education responsibility is there, how to take care of all those things. So from which source we are getting the financial assistance? We all are agreed that educational institutions are non-profit making. What is your so the sources of financing in developing our economic in general, or you may say in India, particularly based upon three, that is government through grants we get some assistance, students from fee income certain amount of fees are there, and private donors are there, and philanthropists are industries and government organizations, NGOs are there, endowments are there, who provide some amount of finance, because you know that the education is under concurrent list where both the central government and state government play the role for a smooth functioning of the institutions. So you must have the idea the financing education in pre-independence India and post-independence India. Right. If you talk about the financing education system in pre-independence India, so it will move toward that the educational finance was very centralized till 1870, right? Before independence, I'm talking about. So the process of decentralization began in 1871 and continued like that 1921 when there is certain change came when, however, you can say that the Indian Minister of Education got full control in 1947. So the system is suffered because no financial assistance was given to the government. So how the financial assistance proper no hochi. So how the government or the institution will move? So even pre-independence time, financing education operated generally in three levels. One is you may talk about the central government, the state or provincial governments, and the local bodies, community members, or you may say private or non-government sectors. Right. And if you talk about the financing education in a post-independent era or post-independent India, so number of policies have been governed. A policy for financing was developed after independence. The central government gave considerable financial assistance to the state to implement their plans all over the country. So, after the framework of the Constitution 1950, education under state list, thereby giving complete responsibility to education to the states. चलला एमती after 26 years 1950 to 1976 ସେତେବେଳେ ଆମର ହେଲା 42nd Amendment Act. So in 1976 42nd Amendment Act, Constitutional Amendment Act, put education into the concurrent list. Generally, these questions comes in SSB, State Selection Board, uh, SSB Rase, and you can say in exams or CTET, OSTT. So you can find it. Right. So, however, in 1976, the 42nd Constitutional Amendment put education into the concurrent list. So now we'll talk about the analysis of 5-year plan, which shows the expenditure of central and state government on education increased. How you will see the picture that distribution of expenditure, central and state government, central government, it all in a crore to 47 crore. Here, state government 925 crore, 0.1 crore. Or even total 1,172.1 crore, which is only 7.8%. So in technical and vocational education, you can see here, right? But before independence, it was very low, you may say. So we are facing so many issues of getting the education, right? If we talk about the role of coordinating bodies who are there in India, generally, who helps enough for proper functioning of the education system, and you can say that the financial assistance provided by whom. If we talk about the coordinating bodies at various levels in financing higher education, IGNO 2003 अनुसार the Constitution of India empowered center to exercise overall power with regards to higher education and professional education. Right. So there is a body, autonomous statutory body constructed, that is UGC. You know all. ଦେ ୟୁଜିସି ନେଟ୍ ପରୀକ୍ଷା କ୍ୱାଲିଫାଏ କଲେ ଆପଣ ମାନେ ଆସିଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ପ୍ରଫେସର ହେଇପାରିବେ ବା ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଫେଲୋସିପ୍ ମିଳିବ। So UGC University Grants Commission was established in 1956 1956 ରେ and later we can talk about the Indian Council of Technical Education AICT was set up statutory body in 1988. So for other coordinating bodies are there who greatly helped, or you may say coordinating bodies which drive their mandate. In the Constitution of 66th entry there you can find the Medical Council of India, the Bar Council of India, the Nursing Council of India, the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, the Pharmacy Council of India, the Institute of Architects, the Institute of Accountancy, and very popular, that is National Council for Teacher Education NCT. ये जो bodies को देखिले, you see the coordinating bodies is ସବୁ ଦିଟା category ଆସୁଛି. One is statutory body, another is registered under Society Recognition or Registration Act. Medical Council of India and Indian Council of Agricultural Research ICAR. These two category, they cannot regulate the coordinated standard for education system in India, but it is pertinent that to examine the University Grants Commission UGC and AICT. These are the funding bodies in Indian higher education institutions which has a direct bearing on infrastructural management in the institution. ଆମ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି ଆଉ କଲେଜ ମାନଙ୍କରେ ଯୋଉ ଇନଫ୍ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚରାଲ ମ୍ୟାନେଜମେଣ୍ଟ ହଉଛି, ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ହଉଛି, ସୋ ତାର ସୋର୍ସ ଫଣ୍ଡିଂ କୋଉଠି ହଉଛି ନା ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି ଗ୍ରାଣ୍ଟସ କମିଶନ ୟୁଜିସି ଆଉ ଅଲ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ AICT. AICT means All India Council for Technical Education. So let us will talk about this two in broadly. Am I audible to all? Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So the University Grants Commission 1956 ରେ established ହେଇଥିଲା. So it was established through an act of parliament for the coordination, determination, and maintenance of standards of university education in the country. Right? So, ଦେଶରେ education system को university level to make it more systematic, more strengthened, then, and you may say that standard to improve the standard and quality of education UGC helps. So the genesis of UGC can be traced କେମିତି ଏଟା ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଲା ନା ପ୍ରଥମେ ଯେ କହୁଛି ଦ ହିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିଟା ଦ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟିଂ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ଅଫ UGC କ୍ୟାନ୍ ବି ରେକମେଣ୍ଡେସନ ଅଫ CAB ଗୋଟେ କମିଟି ଅଛି ଆମର ରିପୋର୍ଟ ଅଛି ରିପୋର୍ଟ ଅଫ CAB ବା ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ଆଡଭାଇଜରୀ ବୋର୍ଡ ଅଫ ଏଜୁକେସନ ଯୋଉଟା କି 1944 ରେ ହେଇଥିଲା ଅନ୍ ଦ ପୋଷ୍ଟ ୱାର ଏଜୁକେସନ डेवलपमेंट इन इंडिया से जो 1944 को आम कौन कहले सर्जेंट रिपोर्ट कहले तापरे मच मोर डेलिबरेशन यूनिवर्सिटी एजुकेशन कमिशन आसिला एंड वी 1948 रे हितला यूनिवर्सिटी एजुकेशन कमिशन 1948 and with the help of this the UGC was eventually established in 1956 as a statutory body. It is a statutory body. Okay. So it was established through an act of parliament, you know how. So there are certain funds of UGC in different heads. You may get the assistance. But it's very important to know the major functions of University Grants Commission. So, what are the major functions here? We can talk about that UGC promotes and coordinates university and college education by fixing the standards of teaching, examination, and research in universities. Enquiry into the financial needs of university and colleges, allocate and disperse financial grants to university and colleges, allocate disperse funds to deemed universities also for the maintenance and special cases of development in which area the university or college needs some assistance, right? Give advice to any university for improvement of its educational standards because university UGC ଗୋଟେ UGC team ଗୋଟେ ଅଛି UGC 12B, so it visits to the university for check the standard of the university, the quality of research, and the quality of infrastructure handled there, right? So it give advice to universities for improvement of its educational standards. Advise the central or state government on allocation of any financial grant to the university. Because all the UGC को grants कोड आसे पैसा कोड आसे central government रो center रो आसे. So advise any authority on the establishment of a new university is possible. So you have to check university को new establish यदि हबार अछि, it will be surveyed by the UGC. Is it suitable for being a university or not? The college university habo. Fine. So ask any university information related to its financial position or strategy in different branches. Okay, now UGC always try to ask any university financial position, studies, different branches, subjects, research, extension, examination system. So there are highlighted so many things in this area. So there are some also challenges UGC has taken or faced because you know that in some cases having some guidelines we also fail, isn't it? And the second thing we should know that is All India Council for Technical Education AICT. I have written wrongly the 1945, it is 1988. Right. The survey AICT does the survey entire field of technical education in consultation with provincial government. Greater emphasis on design oriented teaching, teaching of design methodologies, right? How good methods and new innovative methods can be employed in teaching learning process. The students will be more interested. Problem solving approach, greater exposure to industrial and manufacturing process. So it already at AICT technical education, how the technology with the help of technologies or integrating technology in teaching learning process will make the education system more vibrant. It was the target. Again, AICT exclusion of out model technology and inclusion of new appropriate emerging technology. AICT always intends to bringing some new technologies through which education will be more systematic, more effective, more fruitful. So it has a greater input of management, education, and professionals' communication skills, which directly helps the institutions, college, and universities strengthening the financial as well as infrastructural base. Now, if we'll talk about another thing, that is the, is there any constraint or issue you may talk about? Because you know that there are certain challenges. The UGC has to gear up to confront radical challenges in a variety of programs, because its structure, its curricular, and the maximum use of information and communication technology, right? So the UGC has taken some major initiative to raise the quality standard of education, isn't it? So periodic review होची, renewal curricular assessment होची, establishment common facilities होची, research होची, networking of research for intervention and documentation is continuing growing there. Induction on electronic media in higher education, provision for fellowship, scholarship, student ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଦିଆ ହଉଛି in various ways, right? So, but there are also some lacunas or problems which we must have knowledge, that is, you can say, the constraints involved. The UGC in the main instrument of government to coordinate and implement the programs of higher education and research. But yet it faces several issues which hamper the effectiveness of colleges, universities, or institutions. So we'll talk about few today, that role of UGC in relation to state government is not clearly defined anywhere you'll find. Second, UGC not deterred states from establishing institutions which are economically unfeasible, or we may say those who are academically unviable. Again, we can talk about that there is a dearth of resource assistance, due to which it cannot support the state-run universities in a bulk in spite of central universities. ଆଗରୁ ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି କମ୍ ଥିଲା, ଏବେ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି ନମ୍ବରରେ ବଢିଲାଣି, and according to national education policy 2020, huge also larger number of universities are there. And also you know that when I belong, Dharanidhara University is also a new university from June. Only two, 3 months are there. So the invitation and experimentation of university is not possible with the existing resources. Whatever resources are available in the uh, there, so innovation and experimentation in universities is not possible with existing resources, or the resources available there. And we can say lack of specific guidelines also about the affiliation of universities. What are the recommendations should be there? Of the perfect guidelines should be mentioned or stated in the university or UGC guy or UGC website, so it can be followed easily, isn't it? So these are the issues, or you may say challenges, or you need to talk about the constraints in the way of achieving financial assistance from the UGC, or you may say achieving the infrastructural help. So now we'll proceed towards the approaches to budgeting, right? So you know that there are certain approaches to budgeting, which is, we'll talk it briefly, that there are four aspects we'll talk about. That generally we deal with budgeting to understand the significance of for infrastructure management, isn't it? So we have to examine what are the approaches to budgeting for an educational institution. So depending the prevalent economic condition of India, we must have the idea about the budgeting, which can be incremental in nature, revenue, zero based, and supplemental. Because you know budgeting has a direct bearing on the management of infrastructure of an institution. So incremental talks about what? I mean, it occurs when resources are plenty of or plentiful. Budgetary baselines are adhered to any budgetary provision, and these are increased for the development of expansion of any activity which your university or college intends to do. Then is revenue. Revenue, when it occurs when resources are tight, but not likely to fall below to the baseline. And we can talk about these are the financial furniture or financial future of the organization, which is predictable. Organization is, you can say, talk about it is predictable in nature. Then there is third, we can talk about zero based. It occurs when resources are very short, very less amount of resources are there, or scarce in nature. And the budget subject of to review. We have to check again actually what happening with our institute. There is no fund, zero based. So it occurs when resources are very less. And the budget is subject to review what happening. Then next is supplementary. So there is not even an agreed annual budget, right? So the budget is built upon as and when items are agreed upon on by a central authority. Such type of budgeting generally we call supplemental, which is seen in third world countries. General. So you know that budgeting has a direct bearing on the measurement of infrastructure of resources. So if we talk about the financial analysis statement, so the expenditure occurred in educational institutions in so many directions. You know that human resource, staff pay, accommodation, purchasing building, rent, insurance, electric bill, equipments, furniture, land, building, grounds, gardens, stocks, supplies. Right? In this way, there is certain amount we have to see the approaches of budgeting. Right. Now we'll talk about the management of physical resources. So to talk about the management of physical resources, you must have the idea about infrastructural resources, what we got very briefly. And we can see that here there are number of underlying planning, or you may say concepts here, concepts of balance, concept of educational efficiency, concept of gradualism, reversibility, constructability, equality of educational opportunity, institutional planning, curriculum oriented planning, planning for a people, planning for effective learning. So all these are very much important to know. If we talk about the infrastructural planning, physical infrastructural planning, you know that in India, the increasing student number at all levels of education, प्राइमरी हो, सेकेंडरी हो कि हायर सेकेंडरी हो कि यूनिवर्सिटी हायर सेकेंडरी लेवल हो. So it's posing tremendous challenge for educational planners and administrators. ଆମେ ଯୋଉ କୁହନ୍ତି ବହି ତିଆରି କରିବା ବା ଏଜୁକେଶନାଲ ପ୍ଲାନ କରିବା simple. No, not at all. It is a difficult task because there are tremendous changes, needs, demands are there. So you have to look after all these things. The need is for systematic planning and decision making for a better educational management of institutions. It's a very sincere thing. So all the aspects of management have to consider for a smooth functioning of the institution. What are those? We can say planning, management of physical as facilities, manpower, and basically the finances. So first of all, we'll talk about the concepts that is underlying lying of physical infrastructure. You know that the physical infrastructure and equipments, these are very much necessary. ନହେଲେ ତୁମେ କେମିତି ବସି ପାଠ ପଢିବେ ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ? For effective teaching learning process, that includes your classroom, libraries, laboratories, furniture, social space, IT network, IT room, special provision for disabled, those are blind or dumb or any kind of physically challenged persons, right? So the concept balance talks about, that the educational planners always consider each education goal is in the proper perspective, right? The learning experience should be listed by the curriculum developer, and it should be based upon the institutional goal. There is a balance between all the things. The curriculum designer should focus in a balanced way that on different learning areas. जे केवल गोटे एरिया का फोकस करवानी करिकुलम जो फ्रेम करूछंती, so they have to look all the fields in a balanced, हम कहते हैं balanced personality, very good person, everything is okay. Like that, the curriculum designers, they develop or focus in a balanced way on different aspects of learning areas, without giving too much priority or emphasis to one area, right? So it is the, for example, ଆମେ ଯଦି ନେଇପାରିବା school planners, generally they, that emphasis on humanities or social studies does not affect the provisions for science. So it should be taken care by the, and already certain committees are there for taking the responsibility, preparing curriculum, right? So there is a balance in the framing curriculum of doing all the things in institutional level at the government level. Then second is the concept of educational efficiency. And we know that educational planners, they are very careful and they are very ensure that only such learning experiences are to be included to achieve the educational goals effectively and efficiently. ତାମାନେ କ'ଣ? ମାନେ ଅଳ୍ପ ବା available resource ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ଆମେ କେମିତି maximum utilize କରିବା ଆମ resources. That is, learning is effective using minimal resources of energy, time, money, or any kind of things. So educational efficiency, the best result how we can get. The second, third thing is concept of gradualism. What is that? Though, the teaching methods in educational institutions evolve, and you can say gradually over a period of time. ନା ଏଟା ଥିର ଅଛି, because we are day by day ଆଗରୁ teaching learning process ଥିଲା student sorry, teacher centric, and now the education system shifted towards the student centric. The education or the classes will be taken care by the highlighting the need and demand of the students and society. So schools and colleges buildings should have provision for this kind of gradual changes. Gradualism means a gradual changes in teaching learning practices, without which we cannot proceed. It must be taken in consideration. Then concept of reversibility. What kind of reversibility is there? As we know that when a new practice we prove ineffective or inappropriate at a later stage, I mean, a method employ kale, but the method is not suitable for us, as discussed earlier. So planners, those who are educational planners, should not only provide for moving the direction of change, but also provide the revising the direction. So how can we can revise the direction it is a matter of concern. So this is a concept of reversibility we must have when we talk about the underlying the planning of physical infrastructural resources. Then concept of constructability is definitely without construction, proper construction, it is very difficult. We can take about example that this concept deals that with the problem of excess building capacity. You know, which educational providers may be confronted with when enrollment patterns show a decline, when such situation arises that excessive facility could be used for extra educational purpose. So it is difficult task. So for example, if the school enrollment drops at a future stage, the school facility may be used by some government. So private agencies or some other computable educational activity in the extra option. So constructability facility is there for taking the students to their lab. Next is concept of equity of educational opportunity. So when we plan that education should be for all, equal opportunities should be provided to all the students, irrespective of any kind of discrimination. As you know, you all will have certain knowledge about how education will be equity and equal for all the learners without any kind of differences. Then conceptual institution or institutions planning. Conceptual planning for an institution is an important aspect of planning for education facilities because it is defined the a creative intellectual activity that precedes and contributes to educational specifications. Because you know, this is the process where fundamental educational concepts are formulated, developed, generated, expressed, and evaluated in variety of designs. So conceptual planning should be involved very carefully, right? And the next is curriculum oriented planning, right? It is very important. We have talked earlier that those who are the curriculum planner, educational building which ତିଆରି କରୁଛନ୍ତି, planner, architects of educational buildings should be informed about the curriculum and the learning experiences likely provided to learners. So those who are also building theory ସେମାନଙ୍କ knowledge ରହିବା ଦରକାର ଯେ what kind of teaching facility we are going to provide our students. So our laboratory system should be like that. Our ICT lab should be like that. Our playground should be like that. Our classroom should be like that. They will manage in a systematic way that all the students will be benefited without any kind of physical barrier. Physical, any kind of barrier, you may say. A normal child can access to the classroom, and a physically challenged those who have not hand or you may say leg, she may also enter to the class without any kind of hesitation. And then planning for people, you know that everything is doing, we are coming or governing or planning for the people, right? Primarily designing our buildings and creating facility to achieve the intended goals. So, however, it is important to plan for the need of the people. Their physical need, जो student माने अछंती जे पाठ पढुचंती, psychological need, social, so as to ensure their health and safety we have to keep in mind, isn't it? The toilet को जगह रे हबो, washroom को जगह रे हबो, and all these things, how psychological cell, the counseling cell, where to be. So all everything should be taken care of. Then next is planning for effective learning. Planning for educational facilities should be based on the fundamental principles of learning and their choice of course, competent applications. So we can say that the planners should design infrastructure which is supportive of effective learning. ସୋ ଏଜୁକେସନାଲ ପ୍ଲାନିଂ ଇନଫ୍ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚରଟା ଏମିତି ତିଆରି ହେବା ଦରକାର, ବିଲ୍ଡିଂଟା ଏମିତି କନଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ସନ ହବ ଯେମିତି ଇଫେକ୍ଟିଭ ଲର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ ପସିବଲ ହେବା, ମାନେ ଏୟାର ଭେଣ୍ଟିଲେସନ ଠିକ ଠାକ ହଉଥିବ ନା, ପିଲାମାନେ ବସିବେ କଥା ଗୁଡା ଇକୋ ହଉଥିବ, ସାଉଣ୍ଡ ସବୁ ତ ପିଲାମାନେ କ୍ଲାସ କରିପାରିବେ ନାହିଁ, ଦେ ୱିଲ୍ ଫେସ୍ ଡିଫିକଲ୍ଟି। So effective learning by we have to follow all these things parameters, right? Now we'll talk about the process of planning for physical facilities. So physical facilities by we have to plan in certain directions which must be taken, should must be noted that planning for space, proper space should be there, determination of materials, the facilities, whatever required, specification of facilities required, determination of the quality, what kind of quality you want, quantifying needs as per the requirement, and also the development of per capita requirement indicator we have to know. So we'll go by one. It's very important thing you may note. Need and importance of physical facilities. Then we'll talk about the right. We got it. The process of planning physical facilities. The process of planning of for creation of physical facilities in school, college, and universities. It is very involves a long range planning. It is not a simple task, right? ଆମେ ଟିକେ ହାଇଲାଇଟ୍ କରିଥାନ୍ତେ ସେ ଜିନିଷଟାକୁ ଆଉ ଥରେ, planning for space. So when you talk about the planning for space, right, it is the most important consideration in initial stage, since that decisions are generally not or decisions are to be taken regarding the space for various activities, कौन हम इंस्टीट्यूशन में laboratory कोउट है, staff room कोउट है, sports कोउट है, game कोउट है, student activity room कोउट है, staff common room कोउट है, student union office कोउट है, student welfare activity कोउट है, student hostel कोउट है, a stage for cultural activities, auditorium, conference hall, library, laboratory, administration office, instruction office. So various activities are there. So space is very important thing, right? Okay. So space by a determinant of facilities you can record, you can require material facilities, specification of learning facilities. Okay. Then determination of quality. What kind of quality we want? Then we know that all kinds of materials resources are available, some of which may be highly have high quality and others may have substandard. ଆମେ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଗୁଡାକ କ୍ୱାଲିଟି ନୁହଁ, କିଛି ହାଇ କ୍ୱାଲିଟି ଅଛି। So ଯେତେବେଳେ when we are choosing something and procuring materials of good quality is essential for the proper utilization for maximum benefit. So we can talk about India. In India, there is a source of crunch which is direct bearing on quality of materials on their optimum use, isn't it? Next is quantifying needs as per requirement. It is also important. You know that in our India, a major consideration in the management material resources facilities is the quantification and the basis of per capita requirement. So it is when a matter of debate somewhere the how much quantity you will get. I mean university रे किछि quantity require लेखो हमर 10टा अछि but we get generally 5 6 or 4 fine. Then development of per capita requirement indicator. You have to go ବହିରେ ଗୋଟେ table ଅଛି material utilization chart, you can go through this. What I am talking about, the material requirement indicator is defined as the amount of material facility which are required to produce a given amount of output. So the combination of various material facilities are put together in a input matrix and over a period of time. This has to be measured very carefully in order to find the exact extent to which various inputs can be included. So this process is time consuming and must be undertaken especially to look after the per capita requirement. हो गया था ये वाला. Next we'll proceed towards the need and importance of physical facilities. You know that definitely there is a need and importance of for physical facility because there is a mixed opinion about the importance of physical facility education. Some feel that well-equipped institutions signal or science message of political support for education. Now, others feel that spending on physical infrastructure takes away for major chunks of resources. ज़्यादा पैसा खर्च करना नहीं चाहिए. So, because you know that, however, the importance of proper physical facilities cannot be diminished even if we were to looking at the teaching learning process of Rabindranath Tagore, Gandhian perspective or Tagore Santiniketan, where learning was imparted in natural surrounding under trees, and I am a student of Santiniketan. I have studied in Viswabharati University under the tree. ଗଛ ନିଚରେ ବସିକି ମୁଁ ପାଠ ପଢିଛି and I have we have blackboards there screen ଲାଗିଥିବ କାନ୍ଥ ପ୍ଲାଷ୍ଟର ହେଇଛି ଗୋଟେ ପିଲର ଉଠିଥିବ ଏଠି ପକ୍କା ଢଳେଇଟେ ପଡିଛି ତା ଉପରେ ଲାଗିଛି ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ବୋର୍ଡ ଗୋଟେ କଭର ଅଛି ସେ କଭରଟା ଆମେ ଟାଣିଦେଲେ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ବୋର୍ଡ ଖୋଲିଲା ଦେନ୍ ଟିଚର ଆସିଲେ ଆମେ ଗଛ ମୂଳେ ବସିଲୁ ସେଇଠି ସାରେ ପାଠ ପଢେଇଲେ so I have gained that experience so I can also argue here but actually we can say the need of buildings is essential nowadays okay because you know that the need to provide shelter for education is very much important as you know that ଘର ରହିବା ପାଇଁ ଘର ଦରକାର ହଉଛି ସେ ଯୋଉ need shelter for domestic activities or for projection from natural elements also କିଛି ସାପ ଆସିଯିବ କଣ ଆସିଯିବ so we have to be protected right so outdoor learning was possible in India but during and before the years of independence it's somehow different but now any longer so we have to uh, ଯଦି building ନାହିଁ solution is unsatisfactory I mean we will not how ବର୍ଷା ହେଲେ how will take the classes in Santiniketan also there are some buildings classrooms well furnished excellent classrooms are there in rainy days there are classes in that classrooms but we can say in normal days we take I have taken also class in there classes are under the shadow of tree fine then we'll talk about the need for buildings. There's a need for buildings हो गया multidisciplinary task. You know that educational buildings can be considered as a mechanism or machines for learning. So we have to educational mechanism for learning. It consists of building, surrounding area, furniture inside. So that we have to do multidisciplinary activities, multiple activities, so many activities we have to organize it. So that the physical facility managers will need to organize a multidisciplinary team which will help furniture designers, engineers, building specialists, educational economists, and town planners. They will collaboratively will they work. Definitely, it will be very good. Then increasing numbers. Definitely, we have to increase the numbers, isn't it? So without increase the numbers, how can we see the future of the India? Because you know that the number of students is increasing day by day and people are so the need for educational space is increasing due to five factors कौन से factor है पारे growing population in most countries acceptance of providing for basic education to all so it is very much important that is children youth and adults and other number of years comparing for basic education in also arising ଆଉ ଆଜିକାଲି ଟ୍ରାଡିସନାଲ କ୍ଲାସରୁମ୍ ନାହିଁ lecture ଚାଲିଛି ସେଠି ସେଠି ବନ୍ଦ ହେଇଗଲାଣି so these are being replaced by learning methods with the adaptation of educational technology revolution ଏବେ ତ artificial intelligence ଆସିଛି ରୋବଟ ମାନେ କ୍ଲାସ ନେବା ଆରମ୍ଭ କଲେଣି So there is certain attractive things are there. So increasing numbers is also a matter of, for you may say, importance of physical facilities. Then addressing quality concerns. If we talk about the quality, definitely we have to see about the quality of infrastructure, because uh, if there is not the physical infrastructure or the teacher and infrastructural materials which affect the learning, teacher prepare ହେଇକି ଯିବ ICT ପୁରା laptop pen drive ନେଇକି ଯିବ, but there is not electricity, so how can you take the class, isn't it? So it will be a very difficult task for them. But the quality concern is very much important. However, you know that the state physical facilities at least developed countries in every alarming, because a pilot survey UNESCO ର ଆଉ UNICEF ରେ ହେଇଥିଲା, 14 least developed countries ରେ ହେଇଥିଲା, ସେଟାକୁ ଆମେ କୁହନ୍ତି least developed countries, LDS LDCs, using a methodology developed IEA 1955 ରେ ହେଇଥିଲା. So it talks about so many things about the quality of education. Fine. Then functional specifications, ଯୋଉଟାକୁ architectural briefs ଆମେ କୁହନ୍ତି, environmental concerns, cost limit, building materials, size of instructional spaces, requirement of equipment. You have to also all these things look after all these things, right? Then physical comfort. The physical comfort, how will take, I will do the class for longer periods or longer time, or discussions will be there. Students may be that learning materials may be affected. ଯଦି ସେଠି ସାଉଣ୍ଡ ନାହିଁ, ସାଉଣ୍ଡ କପି ହଉଛି, ଲାଇଟ୍ ଠିକ ନାହିଁ, ଟେମ୍ପରେଚର ଏପଟ ସେପଟ ଅଛି, ତାହେଲେ କ୍ଲାସ କରିବା, ତମେ ତାକୁ ଅଧିକା ହିଟ୍ ରେ କ୍ଲାସ କରିହବ କି? କରିହବନି। ପୁରା କୋଲ୍ଡ ଅଛି, ପିଲା କ୍ଲାସ ଅସୁବିଧା ଫେସ୍ କରିବେ। So looking at the external conditions like sound, light, temperature, because ergoeconomics or human engineering is the study of a human body and how it carries out specific tasks and respond to external conditions. Okay, so it is also important thing, because you can select the sample of children for measurement of the standing heights of the person in the sample. So everything we have to look after. Then deciding the size of the furniture, rooms and school. Infrastructural importance କଣ ଅଛି? Room of the school size, range, furniture size, rent, point ଦେଖିବାକୁ ପଡିବ, male କେତେ, female କେତେ. So everything we have to see. Then determining the quality of construction. Without valid or without quality or standard construction, building ଗୋଟେ ଛାତ ଉପରୁ ସେଠି ପାଣି ଗଳୁଥିବ ବା ଖସି ପଡୁଥିବ ସେଠି plaster, so it may have a negative impact, or it may say may affect the student and teacher, so it have a importance. Ensuring safety, always we want to safety, we need safety, because it is very important factor that determines the quality of construction of building and its adherence to safety parameters. The educational planner जो माने, administrator जो माने, designer जो माने, they need to work out on comprehensive maintenance of program to bring a certain number of buildings, 20% of last total stock. So how good education, good buildings or infrastructure will be built upon. So looking at the safety, they should prepare. Fine. Next, we will proceed towards the utilization of infrastructural resources. So how, in which areas we generally the optimum utilization of physical resources कौन केमिति आमे हेई परिबो ती सुंदर भाବରେ यूटिलाइज करि परिबा बा बेस्ट यूटिलाइज करि परिबा एज पर available resources, space utilization कौन करिबा केमिति, internal flexibility कौन हेउची, laboratory resources, library resources, utilization of laboratory maintenance operations. So we have to see one by one here. Space utilization. So it needs to measure space utilization, isn't it? It is very much important that how much space there are for your school building, isn't it? You have to look after these things because you know the for a proper utilization of physical resources and educational institutions, we have to focus certain methods because the infrastructural facilities of institution could be put to multiple or triple or double use of things ମାନେ ତ କଣ କରିବା ଆମେ ଏକ୍ସଟ୍ରିମ ୟୁଜ କରିପାରିବା ଅପ୍ଟିମମ ୟୁଜ ତ ମଲ୍ଟିପୁଲ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ଦଉଛି ଦ ମର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ ରେ the morning and day shifts could be used for formal education morning ଆଉ day formal education ପାଇଁ and the evening should be for non formal education or tutorial classes. So the library may also be used for different categories of learners like କଣ they may non recurring expenditure per student and can be reduced. So the innovations should be taken or bring to the education system and technology can be added that we can in the institutional planning and management which can be optimize the utilization of physical resources, right? So here we'll talk about the space utilization, internal flexibility, utilization of library resources, utilization of laboratories, and maintenance operations here. So space utilization, how we'll talk about. So need to measure space utilization first. We have to need to see the need to measure space utilization. How? Because the study in higher education institutions talks about we have to it is the need to measure how much space you can use. With direction, we'll know that ensuring that space need match space provisions ଅଛି କି ନାହିଁ providing a sound basis for space allocation or planning new buildings କାରଣ institution develop କରିପାରେ ଆଗକୁ ବଢିପାରେ. Second, monitoring efficient space utilization identifying କରିବା underutilized and overutilized areas କଣ କଣ ଅଛି and we can arriving the different difference between timetable used and actually କେତେ classroom ଅଛି ଆଉ timetable ଅନୁସାରେ କେତେ ୟୁଜ କରାହଉଛି keeping record of changes occurring over time or over period. So how much the practices are demonstrating or demonstration of good practices. So we can say that this is one very much important to need to measure the space utilization, how much you are utilizing. And second thing is the strategic role to utilize and balancing different perspectives. Balancing different perspectives. So here we can see that in different the figures we can make it large. So strategic role of utilization balancing different perspective. In your strategy, corporate plan, so finance value for money, income generation, affordable state. So in certain directions we will find the balance in different perspective how you are utilizing what are the strategies you are using in the field of finance, in the field of customers, in innovation and development, and internal management process. Right, this is very much important, and you can go through this the key factors for affecting space utilization, a balanced score and card approach. So এটা হচ্ছে UK হায়ার এডুকেশন ডিপার্টমেন্ট আসছে সেপ্টেম্বর 2006 and also you can find in the UGNO book. Then utilization of library. You can also go through this that it is agreed and accepted that library educational institutions should be utilized optimally and efficiently. Isn't it? ଆମେ ତାକୁ optimum utilization ନ କରିବା ତାହେଲେ ଆମେ ନିଜେ benefited ହବା ନାହିଁ. Not only students will go to the library but also the teachers is important to go library to update their knowledge. So there are the things organization of a library first picture and the second one is you may talk about the structural organization of library system. So organizational library is as a unique organizational and management structure. যেমন library science পড়তে মানে ଭଲ ଭାବରେ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି and is considered an institution in itself the context of higher learning. ଆମେ କୁହନ୍ତିନି the library is the mirror of the institution or university or college. ଜଣେ ଲାଇବ୍ରେରୀରୁ ଦେଖି କହିଦେବ ଯେ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଇନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ କଲେଜରେ କେତେ ଭଲ ପାଠ ପଢା ହଉଛି ବା ପିଲାମାନେ କେତେ ଭଲ ବିକଜ ଅଫ ଦେୟାର issue, students visit, and the books available, everything. So the role of function of all the members are interlinked. Who? The principal, the senior librarian, junior librarian, library assistants, and library attendants. All I mean organization structure college library we can talk about. They are all in work. And these functions are involved in the variety of on the different activities of library. There is a committee called library committee. Library committee ଆମ university ବି ଅଛି to take stock of library operations and the recommendation for better functioning of the library. I have visited once a JNU library. I came to that I just surprised what a library I have seen in my life. It was the most beautiful library ever I seen. Jawaharlal Nehru Mahavidyalaya, Vishwavidyalaya. You will see that if you go and you will see and you will enjoy the system. Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU. So then we'll talk about the structural organization of library system. So here we talk about the different crucial aspects. Principal or staff committee, then senior librarian have different task holder, book acquisition, technical works, periodical works, circulation of book, what are the references. You have to see all those things because infrastructure facilities in building rooms, auditorium, etc. Equipments for that, books, journals, periodicals, audio, video records, and other items also. Right? So these are the figure. Then laboratory management and its utilization. Last one we will talk about. Infrastructure facilities library out here କଥା କହିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି ଯେ some infrastructure facilities are linked in the service section. जोड़ाक आम कहते administrative building, book stock room, acquisition department, catalog थाए विभिन्न डिपार्टमेंट विभिन्न कैटलॉग थिबो डिपार्टमेंट प्रोसेस फाइल थिबो सर्कुलेशन अछि पीरियोडिकल सेक्शन अछि रेफरेंस अछि डिस्प्ले सेक्शन अछि हमरो मैगजीन सेक्शन अछि स्टोर रूम अछि कॉमन रूम अछि रीडिंग हॉल स्टडी रूम कोंती रीडिंग हॉल अछि ऑडियो विजुअल मीडिया रूम अछि लैंग्वेज लैबोरेटरी अछि so when you know that you have already studied in certain university and colleges, I hope you have certain knowledge regarding this. I will not go through this all. Fine. Next we will talk about the laboratory management and utilization. So first is your personnel management. What do you think about laboratory management utilization? Isn't it? That no, the fundamental objective of laboratory management is that the teaching learning process can be more productive. Teaching manipulative skills to enhance students' motor and observation capacity. Teaching application of basic scientific temperament, body designing and planning activity, cultivating professional skill, scientific attitude, identifying the measuring and actual utility of current research in science, the field of science, or you may say social science or language. So all these things should be taken care of. And for optimum result of the foster the spirit of creativity and innovation, laboratory should be properly managed and its resources should be properly utilized. So the laboratory management involves these seven aspects, you may say, very much important given by Ahmad 1983 as concept ଦେଇଥିଲେ ଯେ personnel management is also important. Who are there? The teachers. Let us role of teachers role ଅଛି, demonstrator role ଅଛି. Demon teachers କଣ you know everything you know, but I will be talking about demonstrator. Demonstrator କଣ କରେ? The demonstrator should be well equipped academically and professionally for a correct and efficient demonstration of experiments. Right? ସେ କଣ ନା observing student work to give brief clarification and explanation of process or procedure, give directions how to use this book or how to use this model, ask questions students and guide the students, encourage students, support students. uh, Laboratory assistant and technicians also, they you have gone to library and they are providing books and a laboratory thing. Laboratory they uh, tell us how to use these things. Laboratory assistant generally and technicians play an important role in preparing and setting the laboratory for carrying out the experiments, right? They are actual manager of the laboratory. ଆମକୁ ତ ସାର୍ ଶିଖେଇଲେ ବଟ୍ ଦେ ଆର୍ ଦ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିକାଲ ଜିନିଷଟା ସେ ଆମକୁ ବହୁତ ଶିଖାନ୍ତି and their professional technical expertise should be developed through periodic training, right? ସେମାନେ ବି ଟ୍ରେନିଂ ନେବା ଉଚିତ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଆଉ ଟିକେ ଭଲ ଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡାର୍ଡ ହେବା ପାଇଁ। ଆଉ student role, you know that very much important because without student nothing is possible, because students are the target group who are ultimately helpful or use the laboratory for getting knowledge or gaining experience and requisite skills and knowledge. So the optimum utilization of library equipment will be possible only by the student. And next is you can talk about laboratory equipment procurement is there also. Procurement and maintenance of laboratory equipment, procurement and maintenance of library equipment or laboratory equipment procurement, ଯାହା ବି ତୁମେ କହିପାରିବ, no issue. So the procurement has generally two aspects. Equipment जो laboratory रे जहाँ equipment अच्छी is procured according to specification of need of various experimental programs or activities, and equipment is procured to replace the absolute one or which are broken or under repair. So it is the duty of the, you may say, the laboratory assistants to take care of these things. Then there is management of laboratory time and space. Time and space management. So the space utilization as per laboratory requirement, utilization of space on terms of working available time, utilization for student unit, utilization for student laboratory program. तो କିଛି ଜିନିଷ equipment को installation capacity student ର ଅଛି କି ନାହିଁ, utilization of space for further use purpose of programs को उद्देश्य तक यूज କରୁଛ, so everything should be taken care. Then management of safety. So the basic precautions that one must be aware before conducting the laboratory experiment कौन से आगे पढ़ी कि clear कट हब जिनसटा, careful handling the fragile equipment like glassware, or we may say precautions while using chemicals and electrical appliances, fire extinguishers to be installed at requisite places, and also it should be fastened boxes readily uh, available in that space, right? So all these things should be taken care for proper use of the resources, or you may say, if we talk about the infrastructural facilities, maintenance of facilities, it is very important. So the good quality facility maintenance program requires commitment from board, administration, staff, student, community. The maintenance of facility in a higher priority and security, and it must be provided each year with adequate funding. So this is a very important subject, and all the teachers, members of the institutions should have certain idea about that. And you know that today we are living in the era of emerging industrial, or you may say technological era. Emerging instructional methodology we are using, software also and as a courseware, and is being developed to cover vast curriculum in many educational fields, right? The learning system have been created in the development countries like integrated learning system ILS, learning management system LMS, and integrated instructional system IIS, so which work directly with the school districts to create school programs in keeping their needs. So we must be aware about all these things, because the potential of educational technology or technology for educational practices is unlimited, and the facility planners have to keep abreast of the development in educational technology and should use them for educational benefits. ଆମେ ବି ରଖିଦେବା ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ଘରେ କମ୍ପ୍ୟୁଟରକୁ, but will not use, what will happen? Electronic gadgets automatically ନଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଯିବ if you not use it. Like that, in today's, there is a very much impact of ICT revolution on educational facility planning. You know, you all are using Android phones, and we are using also with the help of ICT or development of technology. We are taking classes in online form through the Google Meet platform. So, learning technology have also been impacted the ICT revolution. The methods of studying, school procedures, organization of resources, everything transformed by the impact of ICT. Computer have been used in form of that. So you should be very surprised things. ତମକୁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଗୋଟେ ମୁଁ ୱେବସାଇଟ ପଠେଇବି, and you will get that how uh, you will get books from that website. Any books you can download on your choice. If the books are available, you will get it in a PDF form. I have shared a link. Have you seen? Hello? Are you getting me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I have sent a link, and you can go. If you access this link, you will get larger number of books free without any money. Soft copy books you will get. Okay. So you can say that with the advancement of technology or development or evolution of educational facility planning. So method of studying, school, procedure, organization, resources, etc. have been transformed by the impact of ICT, information communication and technology. And the computers have been in use of teaching learning since 1966. And ମୁଁ କହୁନି, John Hopkins University କହୁଛି. So, however, the web technology are being increasingly used by the educational institutions for developing course study materials. PDF ସବୁ ମିଳିଯାଉଛି, ତମକୁ PPT ମିଳିଯାଉଛି, ଲର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ ମେଟେରିଆଲ୍ସ ଇଜିଲି ମିଳିଯାଉଛି, ତମକୁ ୱେବସାଇଟ୍ ଦେଲେ ବହି आराम से जहाँ बही खोजिए मिल तुम बही सब आराम से सब पीडीएफ डाउनलोड कर पढ़ला बही किनिया पड़बनी सो देयर आर अदर सोर्सेस ऑन लर्निंग मटेरियल्स आर now readily accessible to distance learners as well as to conventional learners in the classroom वर्तमान तमे इग्नोर स्टडी मटेरियल्स यू कैन फाइंड इन वेबसाइट all the materials are available so this new technology has transformed the delivery mechanism of a teaching learning process but it has altered the preparation and perception about education as a system. So we can say that the transformation in teaching learning methodology has two aspects. It is important to know because it removes the constraints. Anybody want to say anything? Okay. So it removes the constraints of time and space for educational provisions. Access to learning is provided from any place, any time, anywhere. जोउटी थाओ तमे गूगल खोलिलो मारिलो लिंक पाइलो बही पढ़िलो accessible easily training and material can be tailored based on individual needs and it can be self paced ନିଜ ଇଚ୍ଛାରେ pdf ପଢିଲ ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୋବାଇଲ ରେ ଗଲେ ପଢିଲ ରାସ୍ତାରେ ପଢିଲ ବସ ରେ ବସିଲା ବେଳେ ପଢିଲ କ୍ଲାସରୁମ ଫାଙ୍କା ପଢିଲ ମ୍ୟୁଜିକ ଫିଲ୍ଡ ରେ ପଢିଲ କୁଆଡେ ବୁଲିବାକୁ ଯେ ପଢିଲ so we can say that how easy happen through the change or development of technology in education so this thing should be taken into consideration as infrastructure we are preparing infrastructure changes so all the facilities looking after we have to prepare as a teacher's point of view as well as we can say as a student's point of view okay so uh, thank you for today if anybody have any question you may ask me अच्छा आई जो मु जो तुमको लिंक टा देली से लिंक देखिलनी तमे सब
Sir, front page देखिए.
से लिंक क्लिक करिवो लिंक क्लिक कला परे आई एम शोइंग यू राइट एग्जांपल मु तुमको देखौजी वर्तमान मु वर्तमान तुमको एटा मु बंद कर दोची now I am showing you another thing that is I am clicking on that link right I am also showing you that is it visible to you
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
visible so now I can suppose I will search a book okay so here I suppose I write educational psychology I have searched so going to educational psychology suppose I go to the title here I will select the title of the book so here I will search okay then I will click here click color so I will find a larger number of books on educational psychology देखो educational psychology केते गुडा बही अछि suppose a handbook of educational psychology encyclopedia psychology Vygotsky development of psychology suppose you will go a book any book you can go that suppose I want to go John anybody say which book we have to open any book just say we should go to the latest books okay latest book is here measuring psychology and also we can use that Handbook of Educational Psychology. Suppose I clicked here, you will get the educational psychology book here. If we talk about how to download this book, PDF link is here. Are you getting me? Then just click here. Due to some link, it is not opening. Okay, another I am checking it. It's 3 MB. Technical ଟିକେ sound ଅଛି. So ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ website ରେ ଟିକେ କ'ଣ ଜାମ୍ ଅଛି, but I will show another link. Just wait. Here is another website where can we download. Google को जाओ, PDF drive. Just search PDF drive, right? PDF drive, PDF drive, pdfdrive.com. Then you search the book Educational Psychology. Education Psychology, suppose, and we search, you will get larger number of books. Suppose we will find educational psychology encyclopedia, and there is a download option, and you may download. Then educational psychology is searching for it is available or not. The book. Suppose it available, then download the file. Then only download the PDF. Okay. So easily you can get it. There is also another website where you can download the books. So in another class we will talk about, I will tell you. Okay. So thank you very much, dear students. If anybody any query, you may ask.
ବିଜୟ ସାର୍, ବିଜୟ ସାର୍,
ଆଜ୍ଞା
କାଲି କେତେବେଳେ କ୍ଲାସ କରିବା? କାଲି ଶନିବାର,
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା
କାଲି ଟିକେ ଆଗୁଆ କରିଦେଲେ ହବ? କାରଣ
ନାଇଁ
ମୁଁ
ସାର୍,
4ଟା
ଯାହା ରଖିବେ ସାର୍ 5ଟା ପରେ ଯାହା କ୍ଲାସ ରଖିବେ ଆଉ।
ଆରେ 5ଟା ପରେ ପରେ କାଲି ବସ ରେ ମୁଁ ଯିବିନି କି ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର, କାଲି ଶନିବାର ଅଛି। ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ଆପଣ ଖାଲି ଜଏନ ଖାଲି କରିଦେବେ ଟିକେ ଆପଣ।
ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ କଣ ହେଇଛି ଶୁଣ, ଜଏନ କରିବାରେ କିଛି ନାହିଁ ଯେ ପରା ଫାଷ୍ଟ ଇୟର କ୍ଲାସ ଚାଲିଛି।